Music collaboration.
In this video I'm going to show how we can get tracks copied from the instrument project back into the main project for mixing purposes. I'm here in Reaper. I have the main project open. As you can see, we have this asterisk rec folder track containing the initial recordings which might have been done with the band or by the composer as a starting point for the new song. From those green folder tracks, instrument projects have been generated. The way that works is explained in another video of the MuCol system. You can see those instrument projects in the directory structure. We are here in the directory of the main project, and here we have, for example, the directory of the instrument project called vocals in this case. We have some other important things to briefly look at in the main project. We have down here the backtracks, which have stems of each of the instrument projects in here, so that we have their recordings available to us. Those backtracks are available in all the instrument projects as well. Down here we have the effects, which we can use in the backtracks as well as obviously in any other tracks. Now, to get the import of those recordings prepared, we need to have the owner of the instrument projects do some preparation. So now here in the vocals instrument project, we have up here the recordings, which might be some of the initial recordings that have been imported when the instrument project was generated, or it might be recordings that have been imported later on, for example as a result of a band rehearsal. Or we could have recordings that have been done in here in the instrument project. In order to do those recordings, obviously we need down here the backtracks again, and we also might want to add effects like reverb to make things sound pleasant and so that we can efficiently produce good recordings. We have the markings for the backtracks on 2 tracks up here, which lead to those stems in the backtracks down here. Obviously you don't want to hear both the actual recordings as well as the stems, so you could mute those tracks in the backtracks. Now what we need to do is we need to mark the tracks that we would like to get copied over to the main project for mixing purposes. In this case it would obviously be the whole lot up here, so lead vocals as well as backings, and we use the arrow key to do this marking. If we click once, we get the B for backtracks, which is not what we want. We need the C for copying. Obviously you could also have a track to do both, to end up in backtracks as well as getting copied over. If you click once again, you get B and C. In this case we only want the C. Now it's important that after we've done the markings, we run the script. We get here the confirmation, we click on yes, and now we get the hint that we need to have the actual project be the only one open, and by clicking on OK, the script takes care of closing the other projects. So now the Various automations are being executed. Right now it's taking care of copying over all the tracks that shall be copied to the main project for mixing purpose. Now the backtracks are created, i.e. the stems are generated, because we don't want to have the original tracks in the backtracks but only stems, so that plugins and other effects do not interfere with the whole automations. And talking about plugins, when we mark tracks that shall be copied over to the main project, it is important that we don't include any plugins that the owner of the main project might not have. If we still want to use plugins that the owner of the main project does not have, what we could do is we create a stem of those recordings and mark the stemmed version for copying to the main project. And this way we are completely independent and we don't have any issues when the tracks are copied over. Now the script has been completed. We have here the summary, and we see at the bottom that 21 tracks have been prepared or are being copied for mixing purposes. Click on OK and we're done. So let's go back to the main project. We can now minimize the view of the rec folder because we don't need that. We could also mute the backtracks as well as the rec folder, because once we get the tracks into our new mix folder, which is going to be generated in just a second, we obviously only want to hear those tracks. Now, all we need to do is we need to execute the script from here as well. Same procedure. We get these things going. Don't get disturbed by the various windows and command windows that are opened during the execution of the scripts. This has to do with the various OS commands that are executed from the MuCol-scripts in order to copy files and create directories and so on. Unfortunately, I could not find a way to hide those windows. Now, here's the crucial moment for what we want to do right now, which is we want to get those tracks that are marked with a C in the instrument projects into the mix folder track, which is going to be generated in just a second. So we confirm this message by clicking on yes, and as you can see, we'll get the tracks from the various instruments copied over under the asterisk mix folder track. The last thing that is done is that the WAV files, so the actual sound files that belong to each of the tracks, are copied as well, so that each project is entirely independent from all the others. We have here now the summary, and we can see here at the bottom that 3 instruments have been copied and 31 tracks. It's more tracks because we have more than one instrument that has been copied over. Let's take a quick look at the track structure. So we have this asterisk mix folder track. Underneath that we have another folder track which is named with the date and time, so that if we repeat this process we get independent folder tracks, and the instruments are copied under the current folder track so that they are completely separate, and we have a good overview of what we have copied over from the instrument tracks. And then we have for each instrument yet another folder track, so that we have a proper separation of everything that has been imported. We can now start mixing by adding effects and do whatever it takes, and that's it for the moment. That way we're ready to go, and this is like the completion of one of the major steps in the production process of a song, which is mixing the recordings, or getting together the recordings from the individual musicians which have worked in their own instrument projects, and we get back those recordings into the main project, and we now can mix all those recordings again in the main project, and that way get a final result, which is a mix down of this new song. Thanks for watching, have fun, goodbye for now.
Music collaboration.